want to say peace to the guys and the goddesses. First, let me get this off my chest. In no shape or form am I promoting Christianity or Islam or Judaism. In no shape or form do I believe in a sky daddy. But what I will say is if I did believe in a sky daddy, then I wouldn't believe, to be honest with you, that he was any other race than black, because I am black. And in situations like that, in order to be able to get the thoughts and minds and opinions of people is if they visualize something in their likeness. That brings a person more closer to that, to that belief system. If the person that they're worshiping looks exactly like them, take for instance, with the with the Hindus, Parsa, with the Hindus, they look like them, even though you know the Buddha is pretty much the same thing, but when you it looks like them. Krishna looks like them. You get what I'm saying? So, in order to get a person to believe into something, it has to be in their likeness, to understand it that they can understand. Something that's culturized within their community. You get what I'm saying? So if I was to believe in a sky daddy being God, who most people would, attribute sky daddy to, then I would have to believe that he was of African. He was an African. Because that's something that, draws you closer to that being. Is he if he is of the same likeness as you. You get what I'm saying? But let's take for instance, the majority of the things that we see regarding God today regards around a Caucasian man. There are certain pictures of Jesus who they contribute to the Son of God, as in the living God that was on earth. And the true descriptions of him, even though in the Bible they differ from the pictures that we see when we look in ancient times about who this man was. Like, take for instance, in the Bible it says his feet was like bronze, like they was burnt in the fire. Who feet looks like they could have been burnt in the fire? Black people feet. You get what I'm saying? That's the only real description that they give besides saying he was not a comely man, meaning that he was not handsome. You get what I'm saying? So that differs from the descriptions that we're given when we look at statues and pictures of this man throughout Rome, throughout Europe, throughout the whole base, all the parts of the Eastern Hemisphere that worship him. You get what I'm saying? He's depicted as blonde hair, blue eyes, Caucasian. When you see pictures of God, the majority of the pictures that you see of God, you just see the hands. What hands are depicted? A Caucasian European. Not that I really have a problem with them doing that, because, like I said, in order to believe in something, it has to be in your culture. It has to be a likeness to you in order for you to believe it. But I'm going to bust some heads wide open with this knowledge. And even though I may be reading it off my laptop here and recording with you on my phone, I'm still going to upload the scriptures to my YouTube so you could be able to see exactly what I'm talking about. And then you'll be able to go look for yourself and see exactly what I'm talking about. Nowhere in the Bible, the, the Bible contradicts itself with the description of God in the first place. We get that out the way. But in nowhere in the Bible does it depict him as a Caucasian man, or even that having the skin tone of man, humans being us. Now we take for instance, this is a basic expression of how God looks from a standpoint of one man, being John. And that is John chapter 4, verses 24. It says, God is a spirit, and they that worship him in spirit and in truth. Being that God is formless, God is spirit. Nothing but spirit. You get what I'm saying? Nothing but spirit. And in order to dwell with him, you have to be in spirit. You get what I'm saying? Alright, bet. And you heard that. John chapter 4, verse 24 states that God is a spirit. And if you know anything about a spirit is what we would define a spirit as being is something that could go through walls. Almost to the effect of formless. Now, we go to Moses. Exodus 33, chapter 33, verse 20. And he said, Thou canst see my face, for there shall no man see me and live. Okay, whatever that means. You gonna kill somebody if they see you? But it contradicts what we just read in John, when it said God is spirit. And you could only, if you're telling me that God is spirit, that implies to me that you've seen God, that you've been in the presence of God, so you know God, because you know that he's a spirit. But here, God telling him, you can't see my face. If you see my face, you will die. Because of your sin. You have sin inside of you. So you cannot see my face, for you shall die. We go a little further. Ezekiel chapter 1, verses 26 through 28. And I quote you. Let's get it. And above the firmament that was over their heads was the likeness of a throne. A throne, we got a throne. As the appearance of a sapphire stone. It was shining. And above the likeness of the throne was the likeness as the appearance of a man above upon it. And if you're a Christian, you know he's talking about God. But in earlier chapters in Exodus, I thought we couldn't see God. In John, I thought that God was a spirit and we could only dwell with him as in spirit. But this man right here is saying that he's seen the form of a man. Where did they do that at? This is 3 different descriptions at this point in time. Now look. And I saw as the color of amber. Oh, we got color now. As the appearance of fire round about within it. He's still talking about the throne though. But listen to this. From the appearance of his loins even upward. Oh wait, he was talking about God. And from the appearance of his loin downward, I saw it were appearance of fire. And it had brightness round about it. So you done seen the whole form. If you could say that the top is the color of amber, but the bottom is the appearance of fire, You done seen anything. As the appearance of the bow that is in the cloud in the day of rain, so was the appearance and the brightness round about. This was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Lord. And when I saw it, I fell upon myself, my face, and I heard a voice of one that spoke. This man just sat up here and gave me a whole description of how God looked. And he's in the form of a man. But from the custom that what we were taught that God was spirit and you can only dwell with God in spirit. And we will define spirit as being formless and being weightless, just being pure power without form. But this clearly shows that God had a form of a man. We got one more for you. And none of these say that he was white. Let's be honest. And this one really gets you. Because John of Patmos, who is the one who I'm reading Revelation 4, John of Patmos is a man who was after the time of Jesus and disciples and all of them, even after Paul. This man was, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he was in a prison and he wrote Revelation. And in this one, he gets explicit. This is where you get, more in depth in tune of a war and an asteroid that will hit Earth and a whole bunch of commotion, with the end of days when Jesus supposedly will come back and judge man. But listen to this. Excuse me if I'm a little stuffed up. After this I looked, and behold, a door was opened in heaven. And the first voice which I heard, was as it of a trumpet talking with me, which said, Come up hither, and I will basically show thee things which must be hereafter. And immediately I was in the spirit, and behold, a throne was set in heaven, and one sat on the throne. And he that sat was to look upon like a jasper and a sardine stone. And there was a rainbow round about the throne, and sight unto an emerald. So basically what he's telling you that he's looking at is like a jewel. It's a man. It's the form of a man. He kept that in there, him. But it's like a jewel, like a jasper, so bright. And out of the throne proceeded lightning and thunderings and voices and before the throne. And we ain't even going to go into all of that. Now, let's get this down pat. One, we're not talking about a white man. Two, we're not even talking about a black man. We're not talking about a race at all. We're talking about something precious, something that's a stone. Because everybody that's describing this man describes him as being like a jewel. Or it could just be brightness, power. We got fire mixed in with it, so it could be that. It could be that too. But not in one sentence are we hearing that, first of all, this was a white man. And not in one sentence are we hearing this was a black man or any other type of man that we see walking around. Then it brings you to the fact of how everything with these people contradict each other. Because God said that Moses couldn't see him. I know Moses was way more powerful than this John from Patmos. Ezekiel saw him and related him to what John from Patmos took from him. But John, the disciple, said that God is just a spirit. And from what we know, a spirit means you're formless and you're just motionless power. You're just formless power that's going through, all of these transitions that you're going through. You get what I'm saying? Everything contradicts each other and none of them gets a set stone. So why are we busy seeing pictures of white men that look like this? Even when the talk of Jesus, like I said, the talk of Jesus doesn't state him as anything white or even how a Jew of modern times would even look. He speaks of him as an African. So you got the book saying one thing, you got society saying another thing, and that brings you right back to what I said. In order to believe in something, there has to be a likeness. So when black people heard, oh, he got brass feet, oh, he black. But when the white people go into the church, they see a white Jesus and white Lord hands. So they think he white. When in all actuality, the description that's given of this so-called man who doesn't have a wife but has a son, that's another question that you got to ask yourself about with God. How did you know to create a female? When you stated in the Bible, you stated you was going to give him, Adam, so-called Adam, a partner, a companion. A companion is a friend. So a dude could have been right there just as quick as Eve could have been there. Why wasn't God, how did God basically know about a woman?